But anyway, there we go. So, where are we? Pop the Viking, another great game for the neutral. No arguments with the red, direct contact to the head, but the referee didn't give it straight away. It's quite right. VR gave advice. Player never went off for a HIA. I still haven't seen it back, but I thought I'd seen him go off, not directly afterwards, but like in the same set. I think I saw him go off over the side. But
if he went off, he can't have gone off for a HIA because they have to be off for 15 minutes, and he was back on before the end of the game.
No, that's true.
And the incident happened at like 75 minutes. So he definitely stayed on for a set because you can see they came on. Apparently, someone was telling me on Sunday morning that there was some Wigan fans near them sort of shouting at him, and he winked at them. So he clearly wasn't fucking struggling mentally if he had the capacity to give a good wink.
So he'd have passed his HIA then, Mark.
Yeah. No, but
the point Todd makes, which I think is right, is, in a non-TV game, would it have been a red? I probably don't think so.
It definitely wouldn't. This is another talking point, isn't it, out of the game? The referee didn't call it. He when you watch it back on telly, the commentators thought he hit him in the back.
Yeah.
No one thought he hit him in the head, other than Siren and staying down. And what we don't like this staying down. And I know there was mentioned Liam Farrell stayed down one time, didn't he? Later on after it as well. I thought watching it back at the time he'd got a bit twisted, but no, he hadn't. He just stayed down.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad a tackle to warrant a. It should have been picked up as a penalty. Don't get me wrong, but they can't overturn a penalty to a non-penalty. It has to be worthy of a card for them to turn it around. And direct contact to the head is a card.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that this one was careless. He wasn't coming over the top. He was braced for contact. The head hit his shoulder as much as his shoulder hit in the head. But the more you slow it down, the worse it looks, and the worse it maybe comes. It was a card. Whether it should have been a yellow or a red, maybe doesn't necessarily matter. Even though Saints didn't score any points in the first 10 minutes of him being off, still doesn't necessarily matter. Still doesn't necessarily mean it would have changed the outcome at the end. But what I'm saying is, that actually, I don't like criticising referees. And I'm not saying Liam Moore cost Wigan the game. I'm saying Liam Moore nearly cost Saints the game.
That's right. He should have seen it.
He should have seen it. And he should have given a yellow card from seeing it, and then no one would have had to wait for seeing if it was a red card or a yellow card. But the video referee, after probably all the video referees getting dressing down for someone who did go swinging their arm over the top in a non-legitimate tackle technique, only getting a yellow card last week, then a 5-game ban, that will have influenced them to think, we're going red rather than yellow.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever.
It may well have done. I mean, what was interesting this week, I think Thaler was the video ref last week. I mean, what we don't know is what Thaler said to Child last week in the Catalan game. We don't know whether Thaler said, I think that's a red card, and Child didn't send him off. But it was Child who didn't get the game this week.
Yeah.
So he wasn't one of the referees at Magic Weekend.
But he was
this week.
video referee for one of the games.
He was. Thaler got a game this week.
Yeah. Thaler's first game of the season, by the way.
He looked fitter, actually, I thought. Looked like he dropped some pounds to me.
Yeah, first Super League game of the season, anyway. But yeah, I think that's probably when Paul talks about stuff. He's our ref connoisseur, isn't he? So
he knows what he's talking about.
Probably there's my view on the red card that I've explained there. I thought it should have been yellow. It was the biggest talking point after that all weekend. Everyone we spoke to in the pub that night wanted to talk about it. Everyone we spoke to in the pub the next morning wanted to talk about it. Everyone in the hotel I bumped into at breakfast, everyone on the bus, everyone I saw wanted to talk about it. And I tell you what, most people thought it shouldn't have been a red card, but that doesn't change what it was. It's been given a grade C in a 3-game ban, which is what you thought it would be. I thought it was careless, not reckless, but obviously the match review panel went with you.
Yeah, they did, and I guess if Wigan felt very strongly about it, they could have appealed against that, but they've obviously chosen not to.
Yeah, and I think it hopefully means they'll be fresher for the kind of running as well, maybe, because we've got middles at the moment with when Ellis will be back, which he should be back in the next week or two. It shouldn't be a big worry. Right, I'm stalling because I've got another French one to do.
This has worked out really well this week, Mark. Go on.
I think this has come from Alan Walker, but I'll stand corrected if René Artois is real. He said, Racing 92 versus Stade Francais derby. Grace's new team turned out in a nice league version of their iconic kit. Stade were as pink as your nose like the Panthers, but no Nathan Cleary. Racing adapted well considering they were playing Union as late as June. Gale Fickout went missing all match, and the game was played outdoors, like a Union match with too many knock-ons, cheap shots, red cards and bald heads. We'll always have Paris.
No idea.
Nope.
That is a bizarre. Anyway, Tom Andrews said, looking forward to hearing David's burger review after that wonderful field try. This is a reference to the fact that I left when Catalan were getting thrashed last year.
You didn't have time to leave when you were ahead this year, did you?
Well,
Unless you'd have left 2-0.
Exactly, it was only a few seconds. Hoping the batch we have signed is as good as his brother.
He was excellent, wasn't he, Joe Batchelor, in those moments in the second half?
Yeah, most improved player at Saints this year, without a doubt, if you don't include Connie Hurrell, who's obviously improved out of all recognition from the Connie Hurrell that was at Leeds.
Yeah, but you're talking about players who you saw at Saints last year to seeing now. Yeah, I'd agree. He's your Liam Byrne in that regard, I'd say.
Yeah, he's got hugely better.
Callum Percy 99 said, honestly, I can't remember. Just gutted to have lost. Was great to meet all the SLP team, though.
It was very nice to meet Callum. First time I've met the drummer.
How does he get so pissed, yet never fucking stops drumming? Like, when's he drinking?
I don't know, mate. I think drummers generally are able to drum when pissed. I think it's just a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's how he gets drunk, because he never stops drunk. There's never a break to get the beers in.
Maybe someone pours it in. I don't know. Mark W says, Wigan outplayed in a football stadium by a team who can't kick goals. Only this time the ref remembered his cards. Seriously, though, this was probably the game of the weekend for me. Unpredictable throughout, and it could have gone either way. But Batchelor was outstanding and deserved to set up. It was a good game, Mark.
Yeah, Scoots got in touch on this one after the buzzer as well. She said, tight game which could have gone either way. The only reason for me wanting Saints to win was because of the annoying Wigan fans surrounding me, in brackets, no it wasn't Mark, and the meltdown was pretty spectacular. Yeah, beer went up in the air when French scored that try with 10 minutes left, and I think Sarah, Joshua, and Rob and Joe got the brunt of that. So yeah, that changed their allegiance towards the latter stage of this game from my boys to your boys.
Yeah, plus Scoots had predicted Saints was going to win, didn't she? So she'd have wanted it for her Super Brew.
True. We've talked about a lot in all of that. I'm trying to look at some of the things from my notes that we've not covered. Actually, jumping back to a couple of people who said probably the game of the weekend. In some ways, I agree, but the first half, I don't think had either team showing themselves at the best. I mean, Wigan were poor. 20 minutes, we barely completed a set. We didn't get the ball out of our own half, but you didn't create anything. You didn't. I mean, our defence credit a bit for that as well, but our defence was good, but your attack was really lacking creativity. There was no ball movement from your team until the last 20 minutes, I didn't think.
I thought we moved the ball quite well in your 20. It was just that we couldn't find any gaps, personally. I mean, I was right behind it. We were stretching right, stretching left. So it wasn't like we were trying to just barge in under the post. We were really testing the edges of your defence. It was just very good.
Yeah.
But you did very well. I mean, I think the way I would describe it, Mark, was it was a real arm wrestle between two sides that were, draining each other of energy in the first half. You have to agree that clearly the second half was a better spectacle.
Yes. Yeah,
without a doubt. And there was some lovely tries.
Well, Wigan scored two great tries, didn't they, in the second half? Both from kicks, right. But they weren't like close to the line lovely. Kicks. The ball got spread wide, played with depth, got around the back, great support play. the French one, what a finish as well. It needed finishing.
It did.
So Wigan scored 2 great tries, and Saints out around that put so much pressure on Wigan. Wigan again couldn't get out of their own end, but this time not because of their own errors like in the first 20, but between minute 40 and minute 60 we couldn't get out of our end because of your endeavours of defending high up the pitch like you do so well.
Yeah, and there was some very good tries. I thought Hopoate's quick passing, that's not something we've seen so far this year. He's not been on the field much for us this year. But other than the meters, he provided the super quick ball that helped to put Grace in.
Yeah, that was a good pass.
In the corner, and he provided the super quick ball that got Batch away down the right as well. So, those were good, really nice, quick pieces of play by Hopwater we were pleased with, and I also thought, as well as Batch setting up Lomax's try, I thought his little solo effort where Wellesby came back onto the tight side and then put Batchelor away towards the line and kind of shinned it over and went round and touched. That was a nice piece of work as well.
I'd give Wellesby credit on that as well, because up to that point, Saints hadn't really thrown anything at Wigan that Wigan couldn't stop, and then that switch down the short side that he did there, although I think it was a forward pass, but that switch down the short side he did there, and then there was nothing Field could do with what Batchelor did. It just worked to perfection.
No. Yeah.
I didn't know he had it in his locker. I don't know if he knew he had it in his locker.
No, I don't think we knew he had it in his locker. But we'll settle for it. It was a really, really good game of rugby. I don't think anyone could complain if that was repeated in the grand final. It would be a hell of an event, that's for sure.
No, and it was one of those games as well where neither team came away feeling too despondent about it. Like, I know Wigan fans for a period would have been unhappy about the red card, but we can't say for certain that 12-10 probably wasn't the winning score. And so we don't know what would have happened otherwise in the last 15 minutes. We don't know what would have happened otherwise in the last 5 minutes if it was only a yellow card. We just don't know. And I think ultimately we were entertained, weren't we? As fans in the stadium, we were entertained.
It was a cracking game. Like the semi-final was a cracking game. We came out of the wrong side of this one. Wigan came out of the wrong side of this weekend's game. Bring on the next game, which is going to be at your gaff, I think, Mark, in the not too future.
Well, I think the league leaders is gone, so that game doesn't matter so much now. It's more preparing to beat you again in knockout football come the end of the year, I think, now. Which we've shown we can do this year, so I'm confident.
Let's see.
Do you know, one thing that we've not talked about, but I think it's probably better we save it till later on when there's more examples to talk about as a wider talking point. But the Powell no try before half-time, it was one of these where there was a lot of technicalities to why it wasn't given ultimately in the end, but we'll I'm not saying it should have been given. I'm saying we'll talk about it because there's a couple in that Huddersfield game to talk about too. That were weird.
Fair enough, and I still haven't been able. I still haven't looked back at the Hulky Arno try. That was a completely different thing.
No,
but no doubt we ought to come to that later.
Yeah. Hindsight for Wigan, maybe when we're 6 points up. Cade Cuss was labouring a bit in his first game for 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah, maybe we could have taken him off at that stage. I don't know where we were at with interchange. Partington had just come on for his first action. Maybe he could have come on a bit sooner. I think we should have taken Cust off and put Partington on for Cust when that try was scored. But anyway, it's all hindsight. We don't know that it would have made a difference. Really entertaining, and congrats to your guys for finishing it out, especially without Walmsley.
Yeah. Walmsley ought to be back this week because it was a birth. His wife gave birth this weekend, so that was why he was. That's why he was missing.
Congratulations to the Walmsleys then.
Yes. At least he didn't have to go off mid-March like he did with his first child when he left at half time at Wakefield when we were up at Wakefield. So it was at least it was a little bit more managed, although I do think they ought to think about their timing for future seasons. Anyway.
Well, actually, if we're in July now, they get their banging done after the grand final, don't they?
It looks like it. It looks like it, mate. It was a grand final baby, this one. Never mind.
There we go. Sione Matauta got a grade A late hit on passer charge, but that's been successfully appealed and reduced to a caution. Do you know what? I couldn't remember it. It doesn't surprise me because he's late all the time, but I watched the game back. I tried to figure out which incident it was. I